art explorers. Today we are making a dinosaur themed figurine for DINOvember. In your kit from the library you should have 4 blocks of Sculpey Bake Shop clay in white, black, blue, and yellow. Now it's Dinosaur November, so I am going to be making my favorite dinosaur, which is an Apatosaurus. They are a leaf eater. And first thing I need to do is mix together my yellow clay and my blue clay to make this awesome green color. So the bricks are kind of cut like this, so you can do equal amounts of the clay that you want. And you're going to squish it together until it mixes thoroughly. Now, if you've never worked with polymer clay before, it is similar to a Play-Doh in texture, but it bakes hard like a ceramic. So after you're done making your dinosaur, you are going to need assistance from a parent or guardian to bake your piece in the oven. Now, the Apatosaurus that I want to do has a very, very long neck, so I am going to first roll my dinosaur into a tight ball. I'm going to start pinching it evenly and pulling it to start to make that neck. Now, polymer clay is a plastic-based clay, so it won't ever dry out. So you can actually leave this out and come back to it. Just make sure that you cover it so that there's no dust or dirt that gets on to your piece. And it's very flexible, so you can kind of squish it and roll it however you like. So you can see my dinosaur starting to take shape here. We have the head, the tail, back, and then I have some wood tools that I can use to kind of help me shape those legs a little bit. If you don't have specific tools, you can use a toothpick, a popsicle stick, a dowel rod, anything that you have on hand will do just fine. And if you notice that your clay is starting to crack, there's a little crack right there, you can take your finger, smooth that out. You can take a tool and also smooth that out. This clay is very, very flexible, so there is a lot that you can do with it. So I have my dinosaur kind of taking shape here, and what you can do for the legs is you can use your tools to kind of help you, to guide you to start to make these indentations and cuts for your dinosaur. So I have my dinosaur. He's starting to kind of take shape here, and you can keep reworking it and reworking it and reworking it. Like I may not like how thick this neck is, or maybe I don't want it to be as long, so I can kind of squish it back on itself. So I kind of like how that looks better. Or maybe I don't like so much clay on this tail, so I can pinch some of that off and get rid of it. So you can just keep going until you get the shape that you like for your dinosaur. Now, you can add some accents. Maybe you want to do some spots on your dinosaur. You can kind of roll it into a tiny ball, put it on the back there. Maybe feathers. You could take one of your tools and kind of etch into it. And then of course it's going to need an eye, maybe 2, maybe a smile, maybe some teeth, whatever you desire. For the eyes, a trick that I do is I make an indentation first. So we have a little hole there, so that when we roll the ball for the eye, we can kind of set it into it and it won't come out of the eye. Just like that. Now the fun thing about polymer clay, like I said, it never dries, so you can come back to it. It might get a little bit hard, but all you have to do is work it with your hands, maybe add a little oil or water to it to kind of get it to be soft again. When you're all done with your piece, you're going to want to wipe it off, and what you do that for is to get any dust or dirt off that may stick to it, and to get any fingerprints or any cuts or, you know, indentations in there that you don't want on it. The best thing to do for that is to use a Q-tip and dip it in rubbing alcohol or just a little bit of water and rub it over the top of your figurine, and that'll get all the dust, the dirt, and all the icky stuff off of it. When it's time to bake your piece, there are instructions on the side of the package. This clay bakes at 275 degrees for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch. So you're going to want to measure the thickest part of your dinosaur, which I believe is the middle section of this one right here. And it looks like it's almost 1 inch. So if I were to bake my piece, I would need to put it in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes 4 times, because it's a 1/4 inch at 15 minutes and mine is 1 whole inch. So you'll have to do a little bit of math there. Also, make sure that your temperature in your oven is consistent at 275. You don't want it to be higher than 275 because you will burn your clay. So make sure that when you're working on the surface, everything's clean, clear. I work on a paper plate. Then I transfer my piece to a sheet of wax paper and put it on a baking sheet. I cover it with another piece of wax paper or aluminum foil, or if you have a disposable pan, you want to cover your piece. The closer it is to the heat, the bigger the chance you have of burning your clay, and yes, it can burn. I would break the time up, not do the full time. You want to actually make sure that you're checking on your clay so that it doesn't burn, and you want to make sure that the temperature in the oven stays consistent and doesn't fluctuate. I put a separate thermometer in my oven just to make sure that the temperature stays the same. I actually prefer baking mine in a toaster oven, so if you have a toaster oven, that would be even better. You can control it a little bit more, smaller space, easier to maneuver. So if you have a toaster oven, definitely do that. Again, make sure you keep it covered. You don't want your clay piece to burn. After it's done baking, you want to let it cool, and you can actually paint on top of your piece if you want to do that, but make sure that it is baked and cooled first. You can also carve into it. If you want to make it into a keychain, you can actually, what I like to do if I want a keychain is put an eye pin in the back while it is soft, then bake it, and it'll stay in the back of your piece for a while. There's lots of things that you can do with your polymer clay. Like I said, it never dries out, so make sure that you do wrap it up and you can store it if you want to make some more. But I would definitely start with something smaller first, because you want to get a hold of how it's going to bake in your oven. You want to get a hold of how the clay is going to react when you're making something. A lot of times if you make it too big or the neck too thin, it's going to kind of just collapse like that. And if that's the case, then we want to make sure that we're putting something inside of it in like a skeletal structure, so that your piece doesn't go like that. So start off with something really small. Maybe you want to do a different kind of dinosaur. I prefer to do something like a Stegosaurus or a Triceratops or an Apatosaurus, because their bodies are relatively proportioned in size. A T-Rex might be a little bit harder because you have it kind of with a big, long neck and body kind of coming off. So look up some dinosaurs, decide which one you want to do, start small, test your oven. I actually like to take a small piece and bake it in my oven before I bake my final piece, so I can get an idea of how long the piece needs to bake for. What you're looking for when it's kind of baking is you want it to be hard but still pliable. So think of like something that is plastic. It's hard but it has a little bit of flex to it. That's what you want your polymer clay piece to be. You want it to be hard and baked, but you still want it to have a little bit of flex to it so that it doesn't snap in half when you kind of touch it. It takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth it, and polymer clay is one of my favorite things to work with. So I hope you had so much fun today learning about polymer clay and how to make a dinosaur with me. Please send us a picture of what you make, and don't forget to stop into the library for DINOvember. We have a lot of really fun things going on that are all dinosaur themed, and a few videos on our Facebook that have some of our friends, Stella Stega, Ricky Rex, and Terry Pterodactyl. Send us a picture. Let us see what you did. And I can't wait to see you at the library. Have a great day.